Okay, so yeah, thanks for checking in. We were talking about the album. It's a conceptual album, and it has a lot to do with you mentioned the Roman dynasty and some other Greek mythology. Are you guys history buffs? I mean, is that something that you guys have always been into?
It's funny. I never cared about it in high school, obviously, but I'm pretty much obsessed with like the History Channel and Discovery Channel. So
Sure. Yeah.
nowadays, that type of stuff really is really interesting to me, and I couldn't think of a better thing to write a new record about.
Yeah, I mean, I find that too. I mean, I certainly couldn't pay attention to history class, but when you can kind of learn at your own pace and find the parts of history that are appealing to you, it kind of takes on a whole new light, especially when you get older.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if they would have showed, half of the shows that they have now on the History and Discovery Channel in like schools, then it'd be a lot easier to learn that type of stuff.
Hmm.
When we were younger, you had books and that's all you had. So.
Sure, yeah. Now, as far as writing goes, I mean, is that typically your process? I mean, do you kind of look for those types of things to write about? Are you someone who kind of ambitiously likes to, talk about complex themes like that? I know this is only your second record, but I mean, I'm sure there's much more at stake, and I'm sure you're already thinking about your next one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to be thinking about it more and more after the new year, and I'm not necessarily always looking for something as deep and complex to write about. I kind of like to write about things that are, pretty much right there on the surface, but leave some big so that it's easy for the listener to interpret the lyrics for themselves and kind of take it for the way they see it. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's so deep and dark that people don't even understand what I'm talking about.
Sure. That's cool. Now, I've been, doing some research on your band, and, obviously there's.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry?
That's that.
Oh, no. Definitely all cool stuff. But, the thing is, you always see a lot of different types of labels associated to bands. And I know bands pretty much could care less about labels. I mean, if I asked you right now, I'm sure you would say, we sound like us. We don't sound like anything else. But one label kind of struck me. A couple of times I heard your band referenced as either a Christian metal band or a band that uses Christian themes. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know that Solid State Records is predominantly a Christian record label.
No, I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, it's not that all bands are cited as Christian bands, but the majority of them are, and we, I do have Christian roots and Christian beliefs, but, we've never really cited our band as a Christian band, even though, maybe there's a different degree of faith from member to member. It's not something that we kind of tout or say that, yeah, we're a Christian band. But, it doesn't bother me that people assume that we are, but it also doesn't bother me that other people don't think we are. I mean, I think I'm not trying to pigeonhole our band and say we're one thing or we're this other thing. I mean, we just write music, and there's nothing, it's not saturated in filth, I'll tell you that. There's no profanity. I've never seen a need to use profanity in music, and Solid State knew how I felt about that when they wanted to sign us, and I think that was enough for them. They didn't need us to say, oh, yeah, we're going to ram religion down everybody's throat. I don't like people that do that. I don't do that, and I don't write about that. So I guess there's really, I can't even, I guess I don't even know if I'm answering your question or not.
No. I mean, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We're walking a fine line. I mean, I think that if you're into secular music, there's no reason why you shouldn't like what we're doing. If you're into Christian music, there's no reason why you shouldn't like what we're doing.
Right on.
It's, to each their own, man.
Yeah, no, right on. Yeah, I mean, basically what I'm just interested in is knowing whether or not those types of labels even matter. I mean, what does it mean to be a Christian metal band? I mean, based on your response, it doesn't sound like it means a whole heck of a lot to your music. Now, I mean, because you're still going to play your music. I mean, whether or not you want to use profanity, I don't think is really relevant at all. You know what I mean? Your music stands on its own. You know, it's about the musicianship as far as I'm concerned, and you guys can certainly hold your own. But as far as, like, let's say playing with a band, you know, who's on the opposite end of the spectrum, I mean, is that like maybe a conscious decision you guys would make not to play with a band like that, or not?
Oh, no. Okay. No, we would play with anybody. I mean, our band has been in the secular scene since day one.
Sure.
I mean, that's what the scene is. That's just what it is. You know, like, death metal is a predominantly secular scene. So I would tour with Deicide. I mean, that doesn't bother me. It's like different strokes for different folks, man. I mean, if you limit yourself and say, well, I only want to tour with bands that are, you know, they don't have swearing and it's all clean and it's positive messages, then there's gonna be like one little group of bands you're gonna be able to play with, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
So like, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I'd tour with As I Lay Dying, and then I'd tour with Deicide. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I know who I am. That's not gonna affect who we are, what we're doing.
Well, right on. That's very cool stuff. Now, we were talking about the album earlier, and I mentioned earlier that I was able to check out your behind the scenes video, Oracle of the Dead. It seems like it's a cool video. Is the full video out yet, or are you guys still working on that?
Yeah, the full video is supposed to be done like right now.
Okay.
I've been talking to our A&R at the record label daily, and they're expecting it to get an edit. Actually, they're expecting to have the first edit on Monday, and it's, let's say, Thursday. It's still not there yet, but it's going to be like today or tomorrow. So once we get the video and everyone okays it, then that's when the label puts the press release into effect, and it's submitted and played, you know, on all your heavy metal video outlets like Headbangers Ball and, you know, just Jews and stuff like that. So we're pretty stoked about it, man. It's going to be a sweet video, man. We had a lot of fun making it.
Yeah, I'm stoked too. I'm excited to see it. I dug the behind the scenes footage I saw. It definitely seemed like you guys were having a lot of fun making it. There's a wrestling theme involved, which is awesome. Where does that come from? Are you guys wrestling fans? Or is that something you guys grew up with?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I'm not honestly not the hugest wrestling fan, but I do think that stuff can be a lot of fun. I thought the idea of having it in the video was hilarious. Our drummer is probably like the biggest wrestling fan, but it was more like an idea that we had all concocted with the director, and it just seemed like it was going to be fun, energetic, and you know, high energy, and just it ended up being pretty sweet. I mean, what I saw on the monitor while we were shooting it had me laughing. So I can only imagine what it's going to look like when we get the edit for the video. I mean, there's a lot of cool dudes, a lot of cool wrestlers that we met, and you know, and they just did an awesome job.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. It looks like it's going to be a great video. I know you guys are from Detroit. And when I think wrestling in Detroit, I think WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. Do you guys remember that at all? Was that something that you guys...
Oh, yeah. Those are like the only wrestlers I remember.
Yeah. Well, that was a big deal, you know, and it's like, you know, I saw you guys were from Detroit, and I did want to talk to you guys about that, but I just wanted to know if you guys grew up with wrestling, because that was kind of a big part of my youth, and that's definitely part of the reason why I enjoyed watching that video so much.
I kind of think you grew up with wrestling whether you liked it or not, you know what I mean? Like when you woke up and watched Saturday morning cartoons, like what came on right after Saturday morning cartoons? Wrestling, man, for like a couple hours. And, you know, everybody grew up with wrestling. I never was a huge wrestling fan, but, you know, it was cool.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah. I know ICP is from the Detroit area too, man, and those guys are big into wrestling, and I think they actually, the director had ICP's wrestling ring on hold in case the ring that they fell through, so it was going to be interesting.
Well, that's a funny story, but Yeah, so we mentioned you're from Detroit. What's it like from being from Detroit, especially, obviously that town is very economically depressed, as are many towns all over the country. Does that present any struggles to you guys as a band? I mean, are there places for you guys to play? Is there a scene that you guys can kind of be a part of?
Yeah, but it's really small, dude. And let me just get this out of the way first off. I mean, we're from, surrounding Detroit areas.
Okay.
Nobody in the band actually lives in Detroit, but it's
Sure.
a lot easier to say when we're out in California, for example, to say that we're from Detroit. It's just a lot easier to say that.
Right.
There was a period in time for the first 3 years that we were a band that we did practice in Detroit, and we were a Detroit band, but we've kind of weaned away from being in that downtown Detroit area, and we're all from surrounding metro areas, and so just to get that out of the way.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't want anyone thinking, there's people out there that they get upset if you're claiming Detroit. It's just stupid. So
I know where that comes from.
Yeah, it's.
I think I lost you again.
Definitely.
Hey, man.
I don't know what happened, dude. I got full bars. It's just.
Yeah, no, everything was great up until then. So sorry about that. But go ahead. You were talking about from being from Detroit.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I don't want to bash the city. It's just Steve is not the greatest right now, and we're there are places for us to play, but I mean, promoters always try to get their they try to be the middleman and take the band's money, and it's just. We don't do that anymore, We if we're gonna play around Detroit, we make sure that we got a good handle on the show, what's going on, and we usually have a great time when it shows that we book in control on our own, and there's places still around there's venues that are willing to let us kind of take the reins, and they're just happy if they have a full bar and people are buying up all their booze. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So that's cool with us, and places like that. But now it's we're really stoked to be able to break away from that, that scene in the Detroit area, and be on a record label and be known on a national level, and just be able to tour the country and other countries now. So I just feel like it's good to be known as a band from Detroit now instead of being a band in Detroit.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. So what's you guys have been overseas? I mean, what countries have you been to, and what's that experience been like?
Well, actually, let me rephrase. It's cool to be able to now have the opportunity to go overseas. We have not played overseas yet. We've had a couple opportunities to play Canada, but they fell through. There's always some sort of border issue or something, but now that we're doing things on a much larger scale, and we have real management and everything backing us, stuff like that should be easier to get ironed out, So we're looking forward to going out of the country, I should say. But, we did just wrap a West Coast tour, which is awesome. Can't wait to do something in the Midwest. I'd like to go down, hit up Florida. I really like that state.
Yeah, for sure. But, cool. So I've heard you mentioned some influences. Of course, the great Suffocation is a big influence of yours.
Oh yeah, man.
Other than maybe some of the death metal bands, are there any other influences that you particularly are fond of? Maybe some bands you grew up with.
I mean, yeah, I grew up listening to a ton of Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, and Obituary, and and of course Metallica, which brings the more colorful flavor on the guitar work. So a lot of that has influenced all of us. I can honestly say if those bands didn't exist, I wouldn't even be here, man, doing what I'm doing.
Right on.
I don't want to. There's really not too many modern influences that I have. It's just we just like to play death metal.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, death metal's awesome, man, for sure. I cover kind of all kinds of metal here. I'm sure you love other types of music too besides death metal. Whether or not this applies, I don't know, but we're actually doing kind of like a feature episode on Kirk Winstein from Crowbar. Were you ever a fan of Crowbar or any of Kirk's music, Down, Kingdom of Sorrow? Did you ever get into any of that?
You know what, man? Honestly, I never really did get into Crowbar all that much. I'm more stuck on the heavier side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they're not heavy. They were a little bit more. Man, how would you describe Crowbar, man? I keep wanting to say like they kind of have
heavy music, but they kind of got that emotional aspect to it too. It's slowed down. It's not the same type of it's not death metal. But it's definitely extreme. I don't know. They're a unique band. I dig them for sure. And I've been asking everybody that I talk to, just if I'm collecting quotes from my podcast, but understand that they're not for everybody. So that's cool. That's cool. Now talk about maybe what are your goals? I mean, you mentioned that the band's kind of hitting its stride, so to speak, right now. What are some of the bands that you're looking forward to playing with, or maybe some of the tours or festivals that you'd like to play?
I mean, I'd like to play Mayhem Fest or Sounds of the Underground tour.
Yeah.
We did play the Cornerstone Festival in June, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be playing that again. I guess what's cool about being on Solid State is it kind of opens up the door for you to be able to play at all festivals and tours on both sides of the spectrum, whereas if you were this satanic secular band, then you would never be able to play like the Cornerstone Festival, but because we walk that line, we're able to play Cornerstone, or we could go and play like Hellfest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm just looking forward to playing all those big, Ozfest, obviously. I mean, if we can get on Ozfest, that'd be amazing. So.
Sure, yeah. Is there anybody in particular that if you could play with this one band, either open or do a show with them, who would that be?
Man. Jeez, I don't know. There's a lot of bands I'd like to play with. I mean, you know what? I'd like to play with someone that's really huge. I'd like to do a tour where we're playing some insanely huge audience. I don't know. Let us open for Slipknot. That'd be rad. I mean, a lot of people dog them, but it's like, hey, those guys have done their time and put in the work, and even if they're playing softer music, they're selling out enormous venues. So,
yeah, and I understand you want to get your music out to as many people as possible too.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Now, I forgot to ask this question earlier. I know you worked with Jason Sukoff on this latest album. I just got done talking with the guys from Atheist, and he worked on their most recent release. They kind of had, they certainly loved the guy. They had some interesting things to say about him. Basically, it kind of sounds like he kind of marches to the beat of a different drummer, so to speak. What was your experience like working with him?
Well, I know he's definitely a cool dude, and yeah, he definitely marches to the beat of a different drum. You could say that. His schedule is definitely the polar opposite of anybody else's. I think he wakes up at like dinner time and goes to bed at like 5 a.m. and like we would be getting, sample mixes and stuff on a new track, and like you'd get the email in the morning and be like, oh, this showed up at 4:30, so that must have been like lunchtime for him. So, but yeah, he's, I remember our guitar player Nick did most of the talking with him because Nick is a producer, and he pretty much ran Cloud City Studios up until now. It's changed solely into his hands, and it's now called Howdy or Sensei Production. So he's got more of the recording ear. Not to say that I don't know what sounds good or bad, but he did a lot of the file trading with Sukoff, so I'm sure he could tell you some of the corny stories regarding Sukoff. But just the times that I did talk with him or send emails or anything like that, he's definitely a kooky dude. But I mean, I love that type of stuff. It's funny, So, and I mean, he's a mix master. So I mean, it's going to turn out rad if he's doing it. And we're really happy with the new record.
For sure.
Couldn't be happy with the production. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that Atheist record is also sounds incredible. You know, I mean, he's definitely got a cool sound, and you know, you can definitely your new album is you know, part of one of those reasons why I like those tracks is because of the production. So I think he did a great job too. So you guys, I saw in your biography, you were given quite an honor in 2009 by Metal Blade and Metal Hammer.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to win the Search for the Next Great Metal Band contest, which was pretty rad, man. I mean, we won some sweet stuff and acquired some sweet status, and I mean, we couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Blade and Metal Hammer, I mean, those are two magazines that, you know, are pretty widely read around the country. Do you guys feel any type of obligation now or responsibility to kind of, you know, take it to that next level?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying as hard as we can, man. We definitely want to uphold, you know, if there is anyone holding us to that title, we would love to try and uphold that title. You know, we're trying as hard as we can. It was, you know, it's kind of funny because at first when I heard about it, I thought it was some, you know, there's always some sort of contest. There's always someone trying to get you in some battle of the bands or something cheesy. Right. And like, when I first heard about it, man, I kind of thought, you know, this kind of sounds like some greasy promoter's way to try and get a hold of the band's money or something. But after I looked into it, I realized that, you know, the Metal Blade name was behind it, and it was legit, and we kind of like, you know, inadvertently fell into it, and we ended up winning, which is great, and ESP sent us some guitars, Crank sent us a couple of half stacks.
Very cool.
We got a bunch of clothes from Atticus, and, you know, contrary to what I've seen people saying on message boards, we did not get any recording equipment. People were claiming that we have such a sweet studio to record in because we won all of our equipment from the contest, which is just not true, so...
Well, cool. But I mean that's pretty cool anyway, and that's a good, you know, that's kind of a big honor considering, you know, how many people follow that, you know. So you know, congratulations to you and the band, and
thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean that's great. So what advice can you give? I mean, your band's been around for just a few years, but like we talked about, I mean you're definitely making a name for yourself. What advice can you pass down to some of the bands that are maybe just starting out or getting going right now?
Quit. Honestly, you have to think at it forever. I mean, we actually have not only been around for a few years. I've been in this band for 7.5 years.
Oh, okay.
So, but like, honestly, if you listen back to what you're doing and it sounds as good to you as it does when you're listening to your favorite bands, then there's no reason why you should stop doing it. And if you plug along long enough, you meet the right people, and you know, you do the right things, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to make it to where you want to be. And we were fortunate enough to be able to do that, and we're stoked, man.
That's great, man. Very cool. Very cool stuff. Well, listen, Aaron, I want to thank you very much for your time. I want to, you know, I don't want to keep you all night, but very great interview, great stuff. I'm glad I finally got a chance to talk to you, and you know, best of luck to you and your band in the future. You know, like I said, I'm looking forward to spending some time with your album, and hopefully I can see you if you ever come through the Midwest.
Sweet, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the future, and I appreciate doing this interview, and I'm looking forward to